Council, Jason Hess. And we have with us also our zoning officer, Colin Seaholtz. We also, for the record, have with us this evening a recording secretary. This evening we have before us two cases and any other old business that may come in front of this board. This board will hear each of the cases in an informal manner without strict compliance with rules, procedures used in a court trial. We'll ask that each applicant and any individuals interested in a particular case step in front of the table and explain the circumstances involved in their application. Applicants may present their case themselves or through their attorneys or other representatives. My fellow board members and I, as well as the solicitor, may ask the applicant questions from time to time during the applicant's presentation or at its conclusion. All persons having an interest in an application will be given the opportunity to ask questions of the applicant, to offer evidence of their own, and inform the board of their position on the matter. In the interest of prompt and orderly disposition of the case, we ask interested people to refrain from speaking until the applicant's presentation has been completed and the board has had the opportunity to question the applicant. At the beginning of each case, people who are interested in that case should decide whether they desire to be parties to it. But given the status of a party, that person will be entitled to receive notice of the decision in that case and will be entitled to participate in any subsequent appeal or rehearing. Individuals who are not given party status may nevertheless ask questions and present evidence, but will not receive notice of the decision and will not automatically be entitled to participate in any appeal or subsequent rehearing. If you desire to be a party, we will ask you to sign an entry of appearance form at the appropriate time. And although each party will receive a written copy of the decision, the mechanics of typing and signing the decision will take approximately 4 weeks. We ask that each person who asks a question or makes a statement first state his or her name and address for the court reporter. Now, lastly, in the interest of time, I'll administer the oath or affirmation to all applicants and to anyone and everyone who anticipates making any statement with respect to any of the hearings this evening. So at this time, will you all rise, please? Under penalties of perjury, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please say, I do. I do. Please stay standing. We'll salute the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Before I go any further, just so the record shows, not only is the meeting in person this evening, but we are also Zooming this meeting. Should anyone out in Zoom land want to participate, they can by submitting questions through the Zoom process. Also, when we hear the cases this evening, we will ask that you come up to one of the microphones to present your case. At that time, you may remove your face mask to speak. Would make it a little easier. Yeah, as I said, we do have a court reporter present, so just will help her taking the recording. Also, it will help with the ability for us to have the board minutes, which what we approve or will be approving in a couple of seconds. Jason, anything I need?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Colin, the two cases this evening, they both have been advertised and posted in accordance with the Sunshine Law and the MPC.
Yes.
Also, just for the record, everybody knows what's going on. This board has not met since March due to the coronavirus situation and the regulations and requirements that have been passed down by the state. So at this time, gentlemen, you have in front of you the March 16th, 2020 board minutes as submitted by the secretary. There are no additions, deletions, or corrections. I'll ask for a motion to excuse me, approve the March 16, 2020 board minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Bingham. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Kyle. Any discussion, gentlemen? Seeing them, Mr. Kyle?
In favor.
Mr. Hanson?
In favor.
Mr. Bingham?
In favor.
And I also vote in favor. The board minutes of March 16th, 2020 have been approved. I guess that's it. Colin, first case then.
Case 2411, Robert Casey filed an application seeking a special exception for an accessory dwelling for the property located at 2958 Kings Lane, located within the low-density residential zone.
Is Mr. Casey here? Is somebody here representing Mr. Casey? Did you hear from them that they would not be here tonight?
No?
Okay, then let's just hold that case.
Okay.
And go to the next case and give Mr. Casey. Oh, excuse me. No, I have my glasses on so I can't see. Unless the applicant is here, I'm going to have to say no, because he has to present whatever his case is. We can't answer that case. Jason, I'm going to look to legal counsel for this. Excuse me.
I mean, I think under the circumstances, moving the second case and hearing that first, and then waiting to see if the applicant shows up would be appropriate. So, I mean, I don't think that, if the applicant doesn't show up, then, and they're not here to present their case, then I think the board has to.
Yeah,
Excuse me, ma'am, can you please speak into the microphones?
yeah, could you come forward to the microphone? And since we're still on case number 2411, could you just state your name and address, please, just so we have it on the record? Thank you.
Marianne Johnstone. I live at 2965 Kings Lane. That's right across the street from
Okay.
Mr. Casey. Directly across the street from him. And my questions, I guess I would ask the whole board, the special exception that he wants, I simply wanted to know if this is just going to be an in-law quarters for the family, or is this going to go with the house no matter who the owner is?
Without being able to answer that question, basically in-law quarters, what it is the condition will be it's for in-law quarters. I'm trying to be as,
Yeah. And
I'll turn to the council again, but it's be general as.
May I just, for the letter, Mr. C. Schultz sent me a letter. I sent a letter to Mr. C. Schultz, and Mr. C. Schultz sent a letter to me. Under here, it just says that the zoning ordinance permits accessory dwellings for family only. Additionally, the accessory dwelling may not be used as a rental for non-family members. The applicant will sign a legal document prohibiting the space to be used as a rental unit. The applicant would be Mr. Casey, but if he is deceased, what about a legal document? What happens then to the property? What if his daughter, who lives in the property now, it's a multi-generational family home, what if she inherits it, which I have reason to believe will probably be the case because they already live there with him. If she inherits it, or even if it's sold to somebody else, does this special exception go with the house so that no one,
Yes.
no owner?
ma'am,
Yes.
The answer to that, generally, without hearing the applicant give us his argument, generally, the application is for in-law quarters, I'll call it that. And it cannot be used for a rental property. We also, in the past, again, generally speaking, have also made it very stipulated that whether it is the applicant and/or if the applicant sells it, that the in-law quarter cannot be used as a rental unit for the future.
Right, and ma'am, the decision by the board and all conditions imposed, they run with the land, meaning any successors and interests, they're bound by that decision. So, I mean, I don't think, with the applicant not presently here and until the board decides what to do with their application, whether, to continue it or deny it because they're not here. I don't know if we can, we don't have the applicant to answer those questions, but that's how the law regarding zoning decisions work. The decision and all conditions imposed run with the land. And so those conditions would be binding on the current owner and all successor owners of the property.
So then there's a way that this is monitored by the township or whatever, so that if a new owner takes possession of the property, he cannot just all of a sudden advertise a rental unit.
Yeah, I mean, and this board can't speak to how the township will enforce it because we're not the enforcement mechanism, but we can say that that's how zoning decisions work legally, that they are binding. So the township has the ability to enforce those conditions, and we're the zoning board, we're not the township, but that's true generally, yes.
And should Mr. Casey decide that he wanted to turn it into a rental unit and not have the right to do that, and you would know it, all you'd have to do is notify the township, and then they should enforce the decision of this board. Most times, again, I'm being very general, one of the questions asked by the board, one of the board members, whether there is an intent to use it as a rental property or not. So we get that on the record. And usually, even though the law or the ordinance already says that it isn't, there's also a condition so everybody knows in the future, because we may not be here, you may not be there, but the person who buys your house should have the same rights and privileges that you have.
I do have a description that Mr. Linton is the son-in-law of Mr. Casey, the owner. He and Mr. Casey's daughter, Mr. Linton, live on the upper part of the house. Mr. Linton, I guess, was helping Mr. Casey with the description of the property. And Mr. Linton says that there will be no rental potential and no intention to make it a rental property.
Excuse me, ma'am. Unfortunately, because we don't have a case and the case is not open right now, we can't answer any questions regarding it. So
Yeah.
I think Mr. Chairman and our legal counsel will agree that we cannot answer any questions further.
The questions we asked were basically general ones, but we can't get into specific to the case. Under Pennsylvania statute, the applicant, and you can become a party to the case, has the right to be present when any discussion of that particular case. And that's why I've been trying to keep it very general in answering your questions. So that's where we're at. We are going to postpone this case at least until we hear the next case, and then we will decide, if the applicant is not here, what we're going to do with the case. If the applicant's not here, we're not going to hear it tonight.
Okay, so I can't ask any of my questions tonight. Will I ever get a chance?
Yes, ma'am. Well, theoretically, yes. And the reason I say that is if Mr. Casey does not show up tonight, or his representative, and we don't hear the case tonight, whether it's postponed to the next meeting or he has to refile. If he doesn't, you won't get to be able to ask your questions. If he does, if it's postponed and he shows up, you will be notified, the posting will be done and you can come. And yes, I will give you the opportunity to ask questions of the applicant and to make any statements that you would like to have on the record.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, I should stick around while you hear the next case, and then if Mr. Casey shows up, you'll hear his case. If he doesn't show up, you'll postpone it.
Well, we'll decide whether we postpone it or reject it and make him refile. But that's something we're going to have to discuss here as a board then. So on your way back, tell the other applicants to keep their case short and fast, and so you don't have to stay as long.
I'd rather not stay at all because we have a dog at home and he's a puppy and we'd rather get home to the dog. And we were glad that Mr. Casey's case was first and then we could leave. So
Well, now you really should tell them to make sure their case goes. And you insulted me that you put your dog in front of us. So, okay, let's move on so we can see what happens. Okay? Well, when we bring the case back up, if he's here, if he's not, if he's here, then you can become a party and then you'll sign a form. If not, if he shows up, then you won't have the ability to ask the questions. So he may be sitting at home forgetting that it's night and sees it on Zoom and rushes over. I don't know. But after the next case, if he's not here, we're not going to sit around. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, gentlemen, case number 2411, I am going to go over that case. And Colin, proceed to the next case, please.
Case 2413, Brendan McDonald filed an application seeking a special exception for a home-based business with impact for the property located at 978 Lindsay Lane, located within the low-density residential zone.
Is Mr. or Mrs. McDonald? I think that's what it is there. Here this evening? Okay, would you like to come forward? Now, is there anyone else in the audience that would like to be a party to this case? Seeing none. Pull that down a little bit, so, yep. Colin will help you. Okay.
Hi,
Please state your name, address, and present your case.
my name is Brenda McDonald. I live at 978 Lindsay Lane, Lancaster, PA. And I'm applying to have a salon based in my home. Just a one owner, one operator, no advertising by appointment only. And it'll have things to do hair, nails, pedicures. There's ample parking in my driveway to take care of that. And we have a contractor already in hand, ready to go. So we're hoping to get it started on October the 2nd of this year. Have it finished by the beginning of November. I think that's all I have to tell you.
Okay. Gentlemen, Mr. Hanson, pull your mask down.
Thank you. Mrs. McDonald, I'm assuming that you're going to have all applicable state licenses and everything?
Yes, I already have those.
Okay,
Yes,
but don't they have to license the premise then once you're completed?
Yes,
Okay, so you'll have all that. What are your hours of operation going to be?
probably 3 days a week. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday is my choice because that's what I already do now at another place. Probably from 8 to 4, Tuesday to Thursday, and Saturday maybe 10 to 2.
I was looking at this little plan that you submitted. With all the chairs and everything there, are you thinking maybe adding employees in the future, or
Adding a what?
adding employees, or you're just going to
No,
be
no.
yourself?
I'm 57. I'm doing this until I'm like retired.
Okay,
I work at a salon now with 14 of us, and we made it through COVID, but not sure how much longer we're going to make it. And I've always wanted to do it, so I'm checking into it, but it's always going to be just me.
okay. Looking at your property, I believe there's a one-car garage on this property, is that
That's
correct?
what is going
So
to
that's
be
going-
the salon. Yes.
But it's a double driveway, so parking it, well,
Yes,
they'll be able to
four-
park.
It seats 4 or takes 4, and I never work double appointments. I only do one at a time.
Okay,
I don't do double booking. That's too much work for me.
part of having a special exception, there are certain specifics that you have to follow, and they're under section 5.2. Have you looked at those?
Yeah, Gordon, my contractor, is the one that has taken care of most of that, and we've spoken with Colin in the past about what we needed to do.
What I'm talking about is right here, if you want to take a look. Starts here at GG, home-based businesses impact. Can you meet all those requirements?
Let me grab my glasses. I'm not doing any retail sales at all.
Okay.
Again,
I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing any retail sales out of that business. That's not what I want to get into.
Okay. Crew down there.
Yes, there's not going to be any impact on the neighborhood as far as the driving or anything. It's not going to be blocking any flow of traffic for anything. There won't be any waste things outside.
Okay, so you-
Everything's going to be done.
all 10 of those are-
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
anything else? Any other questions, gentlemen? Mrs. McDonald, the state has a requirement that beauty salons, hairstylists, whatever, need to have a sign.
Yes, I was told that recently.
Okay, so I presume you're going to meet their requirements, but will that sign also meet the township's requirements?
Colin gave me the.
So the sign will meet the requirements. Will it be lighted?
No. So it
Okay.
won't be open at nighttime.
That doesn't mean you won't leave it, but you won't leave it.
Not planning on that, no.
Okay, answered that one. And Mr. Hanson had raised the issue about employees and down the road, and you said, no, you don't want any employees. So you have no problem with that as a condition, that it will be just yourself working there.
Yes.
With the number of chairs in the diagram that you submitted with your application, you have several different, I'll call them locations in their chairs, like for your pedicures, your shampoo, whatever. Will you have more than one client at a time?
No, I don't work that way.
So you won't have an overlap, say one client's finishing up and another one's already there?
Probably 15 minutes later. That's how I do it at my
Okay.
job that I do now.
Okay. Okay, gentlemen, anybody with a question? Seeing none. Jason?
First, before I forget, I can't remember if Colin mentioned that this was posted and everything in accordance with.
Yes,
it.
we did
Did
that.
he? Okay,
Hmm.
all right. Do you know what the square footage, like the dimensions of that garage?
80 square feet,
280? Okay.
280. You need 180 to open a salon, and you need an additional 60 square feet for one more chair, which I'm not doing anyway.
And you're putting in the bay window in the front, is that,
That's where the garage door is.
so it's going to take
now.
up the whole area of, or,
No, it's going to be like 8 foot wide, and I think he said 6 foot high.
okay,
So there'll be walls surrounding there. Like there'll be a windowsill underneath, And then to the right of that, there'll be the air conditioning, heating, venting, whatever that is out the side, the proper way.
And the hours of operation you mentioned, do you anticipating wanting to change those at all?
No,
Okay.
I'm doing this so I can work less,
All right.
not more. Took me this long.
And you say there's not going to be retail sales, so nothing,
No.
you're not going to sell any products or anything?
My boss said if I do that, I wouldn't have to do this, but yeah.
Okay, all right. I don't think I have anything else.
Colin, any questions? Anyone in the audience have any questions for the applicant? Seeing none. Does anyone in the audience have any comments, either pro or con, for this application? Seeing none. Okay. At this time, gentlemen, I do need to do a amendment to this application. The application does not have the sections on, and I think I got this correct. It's an amendment to 270-3.5.d.6. Is that correct? Okay. So gentlemen, can I have a motion to amend the application at the request of the applicant to specify which section of the code they are amending, which happens to be 270-3.5.d.6? Moved by Mr. Hanson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bingham. Any questions or discussions, gentlemen? Seeing none, Mr. Kyle?
In favor.
Mr. Hanson?
In favor?
Bingham?
In favor.
And also vote in favor. The application has been amended to stipulate the appropriate section. At this time, gentlemen, beside the written application, I do not have any administrative notices to take into account and/or exhibits. So with that, we will conclude testimony in case number 2413. I will ask for I will ask for a motion if there is one at this time.
Mr. Chairman, case number 2413, the request of Michael and Brenda McDonald for property located at 978 Lindsay Lane, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, 17601. Make a motion to grant the request for a special exception to section 270-3.5D6 with the following conditions. The sign will not be lighted. No employees except for the applicant herself. Total square foot area of the salon is not to exceed 280 square feet. And hours of operation will, as testified to by the applicant, and our standard conditions.
Okay, I have a motion in case number by Mr. Hanson in case number 2413 for property at 978 Lindsay Lane, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, to grant a special exception to section 270-3.5.d.6 to allow for a beauty salon in the house with the following conditions. One, a sign meeting the requirements of the ordinance and state licensing board not to be lighted. Two, no employees except the applicant herself. Three, that the salon shall not exceed 280 square feet of the property. Four, that the hours of operation will be consistent with that presented in the testimony. And five, our standard conditions. Is that your motion?
Yes.
I have a motion, gentlemen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Kyle. Discussions, gentlemen?
One quick question.
Mr. Kyle.
For you or Colin or Jason. If the applicant ceases business, will this go away? I mean, this runs with the property, or will this go away at some point in time? If
It'll run with the property.
Okay, so
I mean, the following owner needs
they
to
have to
use
meet
it.
the conditions to keep doing it, or it would go.
It would go away.
Okay, Mr. Kyle? Yep. Okay, with that, any others? Seeing Mr. Kyle? How do you vote? Mr. Hanson?
In favor.
Mr. Bingham?
In favor.
And I will also vote in favor. Case number 2413 the special exception has been granted along with the conditions so stated.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, Colin,
Yes.
no other new business.
No.
Okay, now we'll go back to the previous case. You want to read it again?
Sure. Case 2411, Robert Casey filed an application seeking a special exception for an accessory dwelling for the property located at 2958 Kings Lane, located within the low-density residential zone.
Mr. Casey or his representative present? Not seeing Mr. Casey or anyone representing him here. Gentlemen, we have a couple alternatives. One, we could postpone the case until our next meeting, or two, make a decision on the case as it is presented to us without the applicant being present. Any discussion, gentlemen? Any decision?
Just one question. Colin, I thought I heard you trying to contact.
Yes, I called them and emailed them. They were notified as usual, and
No response?
property was posted, so yeah, no response.
So Colin, looking at the application that was in our packets, he had this filed and then agreed to the delay, correct?
Correct.
I don't know about the rest of the board, but I'm all in favor of making a motion to deny the request since they're not here.
Any other discussion, gentlemen? Seeing no more, Mr. Hanson, do you have a motion in case number 2411?
Case number 2411, make a motion to deny the request since the applicant is not present.
Second.
Motion in case number 2411 by Mr. Hanson to deny the request as submitted due to the applicant's non-presence. Seconded by Mr. Kyle. Any discussion? Just, gentlemen, I just want to add to the record, since Colin made the statement, that the applicant was notified prior to this evening, and that Colin, Mr. Seaholtz, during the meeting has attempted to get in touch with Mr. Casey, of which he had no success. So I just wanted that on the record. With that, any other discussion? Anything to add, Jason?
No.
Okay. Mr. Kyle, how do you vote?
In favor.
Mr. Hanson?
In favor.
Mr. Bingham?
In favor.
And I also vote in favor. Case number 2411, as submitted, has been denied. With that, ma'am, we denied the yes, there you are. I can see close, I can't see far. We have denied his request. That does not mean it is over, possibly. He could still file a new application, of which case it would be, his property would be posted again, and you'd have the ability to be present and ask your questions at that time. So there's nothing more we can do on that case this evening. Okay? You understand? Yeah, now you can go back to your little dog. Put the dog in front of us, jeez. What kind is it? What? Okay. Now you should have said that to begin with. I would have understood.
I resemble that statement.
Thank you. Colin, any other business?
I have a question for Colin.
Okay.
I have the case 2412.
They withdrew it, and they did it before the
Thank you.
deadline, so
Stay healthy.
yeah.
Okay.
The case is for next month.
The deadline is Friday. We'll probably have at least one.
Something interesting, or is it going?
Possibly a cell antenna, and maybe a variance for some development, but we'll see.
Okay, and if I'm correct, the new 5G
Yes.
towers passed Wednesday night, correct?
It has, correct. I will be providing you all with a official adopted copy, so.
Thank you.
Okay. At this time, then, we will conclude tonight's meeting, both present and with Zoom. If there is anybody on Zoom, we appreciate your attendance also. Gentlemen, Colin, let us know about next month. I appreciate everyone being here, and lady, and please stay healthy. With that, this meeting stands adjourned.
Take a hiatus more often because we can really seem to roll through these.
I know.